I'm audible and is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yesterday we looked at basics of reliable data transfer. We started with RDT 1.0, assuming that the channel is completely reliable. It does not corrupt the packet, does not lose the packet, no duplication delivery. And given that case, how does our transport label look like? Then we introduce one error into our network channel, saying our channel does not corrupt the our channel does not lose the packet, but it can corrupt the packet. And then we saw that our FSM of sender moved from one state to two state, receiver remain only one state, and then we identified a flaw. And flaw was if either ACK or a NAC is corrupted, then the protocol doesn't work. Because if ACK is corrupted, then other side will receive duplicate packets and application will get duplicate data. If NAC is corrupted, becomes ACK, then the packet would not be retransmitted and packet loss would occur from the application perspective. So let's look at how do we address it, how do we solve it. And we said to detect whether ACK is corrupted or NAC is corrupted, we need to basically put some kind of a checksum in the ACK and NAC packet, which we are doing with data packet also. Like in data packet, we are adding a checksum value. We need to do same thing in the ACK or NAC, and so that the sender could check whether the ACK or NAC is corrupted or not. Now, if ACK or NAC is corrupted, what would happen? If it is corrupted, sender doesn't know what has happened, so it's going to retransmit. Now, if NAC is corrupted, it's perfectly fine, retransmission is okay. But if ACK is corrupted and I do retransmit, then means receiver should somehow know there's a duplicate packet because receiver got the packet. Receiver has already given the data to the application, and because the receiver has sent the ACK and it gets corrupted by the medium becomes a NAC, sender retransmits it. Now, how does receiver know whether it is a new packet or it is a previous packet which has been retransmitted? So that means we need to have some kind of identification with the packet to indicate whether it's a duplicate or is a new one. And that we need to add some identification to the packet that we call some sequence number or something called numbering. So if we can identify the numbering and then use that, now how big the numbering could be? Can we have just one bit value 0 and 1, or we need a larger number? To us, in our current case, because we are waiting for the ACK and then sending the packet, so all we need to do is distinguish between the current packet which is being retransmitted and the next new packet. So we just need to differentiate between two packets and not all such packets. And to differentiate between two such packets, a one bit sequence number would be good enough. So we can say packet number 0, packet number 1, back to packet number 0, and packet number 1, and so on, so far. So if receiver receives a duplicate packet, it simply will discard the packet, but would send the egg back. Because receiver may received it, delivered it, but how does sender know that packet has been received? So even if it's a duplicate packet, receiver would discard it, but still it has to send the ACK to the sender that I received the packet. And that's how things would work. Now, do these ACK and NACK require sequence number? Not really, because we are waiting one packet at a time. We are only differentiating between current one, the duplicate or next one, and we have a separate ACK or an ACK. So we don't need to differentiate whether ACK is 0 or ACK of 1, is always referring to the current packet. So we don't need sequence number for the ACK or ANAC, but we do need checksum for the ACK or ANAC packet so that sender could identify. So what sender will do? It will add a sequence number. And as we said, because we need to differentiate between the current packet and the next packet, and not current packet to the second next packet, because we're looking only duplicate. So in that sense, 1 bit sequence number would be good enough. So sender would send packet sequence number 0, next packet sequence number 1, and then it go back to sequence number 0. So alternate between sequence number 0 and 1. We are not doing pipelining, we're just differentiating between current and next one, and hence 1 bit sequence number is good enough. Now, ACK or NAC must be checked for corruption. So receiver should send some checksum along with the ACK or NAC. And now let's look at what happens to my number of states for a sender, and similarly what happens to a number of states for the receiver. So we'll explore those, and same is true for receiver. It receives a packet, if it is corrupted, simply discards it, send the NAC. If packet is correctly received, it delivers the packet to the application and send the ACK. But it should identify is it a duplicate packet or it is a new packet. And that happens only with sequence number. So that means receiver should distinguish whether current packet is sequence number 0 or current packet is sequence number 1. And that basically means receiver would have two states. One is for waiting for packet with sequence number 0, other is for waiting for packet with sequence number 1, and that's how things will basically work. So let us look at our finite state machine. How does our state machine will look for the sender and the receiver when we added the sequence number? So when we start with a state, we are waiting for the first packet, and let's call it sequence number 0. So here my application invokes the API. Application invokes the API, send data, and sender make the packet, put sequence number 0 along with the data and the checksum. The data is the original packet payload which I received from the application, and the sequence number 0 and the checksum others. These are basically headers which my transport layer is adding. So we are not touching anything on the data part, but using extra information so that receiver could distinguish. And I send the packet, and once I send the packet, I wait for, as a sender, I wait for ACK or a NAC of packet with sequence number 0. Now in this case, multiple cases could happen. One is it could happen that I receive a packet and this packet is corrupted. I can only receive either ACK or a NAC. I cannot receive anything else because I'm talking to my receiver. So receiver send me the packet. When he send me the packet, either it could be a corrupted packet. Corrupted means it could be an ACK or a NAC, but it's corrupted, or I get the NAC. In either case, I need to retransmit. I already made the packet, so I just retransmit the packet and wait for the ACK or a NAC again. If I get the NAC, retransmit. If I get corrupted packet, I don't know whether it was received correctly or incorrectly, so I'm anyway sending it, and if it was received correctly, receiver has the sequence number, and from the sequence number, receiver would distinguish saying this is the duplicate packet and will not deliver to the application, but send me the ACK. However, if I receive a packet and packet is not corrupted, if it is corrupted, I am transmitting it. If it is not corrupted and it is an ACK packet. If it is an ACK packet, that means receiver has received the packet. All I need to do is wait for the next packet from the application, and I'll call it state 1, waiting for packet with sequence number 1. And the logic would repeat again, same way. In this case, my application calls me API send data. I create a packet with sequence number 1, add the checksum to it, and send it. and wait for ACK or a NACK of sequence number 1. Again, in this case, I could receive a ACK or a NACK from receiver. Either packet could be corrupted, or I receive an ACK. In either case, sender need to retransmit the packet, which is UD send, and goes back to same state. However, if I receive an ACK packet, which is uncorrupted, if I receive an uncorrupted packet, which is an ACK, then I simply go back to previous state with waiting for sequence number 0, and this is how the sender cycle would continue. And that's the way it would work. Any questions about this before we go to the state of receivers? If no questions, let's look at what is the state transition of receiver would be. Receiver will wait for the first packet from the sender. It gets the packet, and packet is not corrupted, and packet has sequence number 0. This is what we expect. In that case, it will extract the packet, deliver the packet to the application, send the ACK, create the packet with ACK with checksum, and send this, and go to state 1, where it will expect the next packet. Let's go to next packet. Now I am in the state 1, and I receive the packet, but packet is corrupted. If packet is corrupted, receiver simply send the NACK. That's all receiver can do. I make a NACK along with the checksum and send, and wait for this packet. Now it can also happen that I receive a packet which is not corrupt, but has sequence number 0. You may be wondering, I already received packet with sequence number 0 in this, already delivered a packet. Why should I receive packet with sequence number 0? Now look what happens. When I send the ACK packet, so I got the packet, I extracted, delivered to the application, I send the ACK. Now this ACK is corrupted by the medium. Because this ACK is corrupted by the medium, my sender would still send me packet with sequence number 0. As a receiver, I don't know whether ACK is corrupted or not corrupted. I assume I send the ACK, it won't be corrupted, and waiting for packet with sequence number 1. But when I send the ACK, if this ACK is corrupted, then sender is going to send me packet with sequence number 0 again. So even though I am waiting for packet with sequence number 1, I get the packet with sequence number 0, and as a receiver, I have already delivered this packet to my application. So that means I will simply discard this packet, but I still need to send the ACK to the sender. So I make an ACK packet, send to the sender, but there is no delivery to the application because we already delivered this packet to the application right here. So if I'm waiting for the packet with sequence number 1, I get with packet with sequence number 0, and that means my ACK was corrupted, and then I just simply send ACK again and do nothing. I send the ACK and wait for the state where I wait for packet with sequence number 1. Third choice is I may get with packet with sequence number 1 with no corruption. If that happens, I am waiting for the packet with sequence number 1. I deliver this packet to the application and send the ACK. And since I delivered the packet with sequence number 1, I go back to state with packet with sequence number 0. Now I'm in this sequence number 0. I could receive a packet which is not corrupt, but having a sequence number 1. Would somebody like to explain? I'm waiting for packet with sequence number 0 from the sender, but I happen to get a packet with sequence number 1 from the sender. How can this happen? Give me a use case indicating when this can happen that you get packet with sequence number 1, where I'm waiting for sequence number 0. Anyone? Who would like to answer? Jana Khan.
Yes, sir.
Can you answer why would a receiver would receive a packet with sequence number 1 when it is waiting for packet with sequence number 0? This case.
Because of the packet delay, sir.
No, delay does not cause any issue. Delay, I want to get a packet. So delay is not the reason. Okay, let's see, I already sent, I was in this state waiting for ACK, packet number 1. I got packet with sequence number 1. I sent the ACK. Now this ACK is corrupted. When I send the ACK when I'm state 1, this ACK is corrupted. What would sender do? I am the receiver. I was waiting for packet with sequence number 1. I got correctly packet with sequence number 1. I delivered the packet to the application. I sent the ACK and I go back to state waiting for packet sequence number 0. But what happens when this ACK is corrupted? What would sender do when the ACK I am sending is corrupted? Which packet the sender will send? Anybody else? Yogita, Raikar?
So it will send the same packet again.
What is the packet number? Can you tell me?
Packet one.
Yeah. So even though I moved to state 0, but because my ACK was corrupted, sender is going to send me same packet sequence number 0 and I get a packet sequence number 0. Now as a receiver, what I'm supposed to do? I have already delivered this packet to the application. So I can't deliver it as a duplicate packet. All I need to do is send the ACK for this packet and wait for packet with sequence number 0. That's all I need to do. Or if I get a corrupt packet, I send the NAC and wait here. And this is how state transition diagram of RDT 2.1 would work. Any questions about this before I move on to the next version? So let's look what is happening. Number of state in receiver became 2 from 2.0. For sender, it became 4 states from 2 to 4 because 1 state for each sequence number, ACK and receive packet. Same is true for sequence number 1. I got 2 states. Only difference is 2 states correspond to sequence number 0 and 2 states correspond to sequence number 1. That's all it is. Now look what is happening. We had a data packet and we have 2 control packets. One is called ACK, one is called an ACK. So rather than having a control packet, 2 different control packets, because the more the number of different kind of packets, more challenge it will be to implement, detect, do things up. Can we simplify, have only one kind of control packet? Can we make a NAC-free protocol? That means rather than sending a NAC, can we just send the ACK? So that means somehow with the ACK, we should indicate what packet has been received. So we replace NAC by an ACK, but in that case, we need to indicate with the ACK, is ACK for sequence number 0 or ACK for sequence number 1. Previously, we were sending ACK or an ACK, the receiver would know. Now, if we can send ACK for sequence number 0 or ACK 1, then we would know. So let's say I'm receiver, I'm in state 0, and I get the packet which is corrupted. Previously, I was sending a NAC, but I'm saying we want to replace ACK with NAC with the ACK. So what ACK should I say? I don't even have the packet. So I would say ACK of 1, previous what I received. And if sender gets the ACK for a different packet, previous packet, it will determine that this packet it sent last is corrupted, it will retransmit. Let's look at workout the state transition diagram, and then you may see that. At times ACK may become duplicate, which could be fine, but ACK must contain sequence number, and we look at that part. So duplicate X, what would happen? And then basically when receiver gets it, when sender gets duplicate X, this basically implies to the sender that receiver did not get a new packet. It is still with the old packet, so I need to send new packet again. And that is what the duplicate X would mean. And we look at the state transition diagram to figure out. So all we are doing is from 2.1 to 2.2, we are replacing NAC with the ACK. So rather than having many different kind of control packet, we'll have a smaller number of control packet. We'll have a control packet only type ACK, become a lot more easier. Because the more the different kind of messages, more complex implementation becomes. And so it's better to keep it simplified. And this is what we're saying. So instead of NAC, receiver send the ACK for the last successful packet received. So this indicates to the sender what has been received so far, and that means the new packet that has been sent has not been received, and it will transmit new packet. So basically that's what it means. So let us look at the FSM or finite state machine for this sender, and then we look at the receiver. So we wait for packet number 0 from application. Application invokes RDT send. Sender would make a packet, put sequence number 0, add the checksum and send. And what should sender do? Wait for a ACK of 0. Now there is no ACK. I wait for a ACK of 0. Now waiting for the ACK of 0, I can receive a packet which is ACK, and this could be corrupt. When I receive the packet which is corrupted, so I don't know what really happened. Whether it was ACK successful or ACK failure. So I would got a corrupt packet, I would retransmit. Or packet is not corrupted, but it's an ACK of 1. I'm sending my first packet, so I'll come to that ACK of 1 little later. So let me hold on to this. You may receive it, but let's hold on to this. And I go back, resend the packet and wait again. Or I receive the packet which is not corrupted and ACK of 0. I send the data packet, I got the action ACK 0. That means receiver has received the packet correctly, and then I wait for a state 1 where I wait for the next packet from the application. And this is what I do. I'll come to this part, ACK of 1, little later, just a minute. I'm in the state 1 where I'm expecting next packet from the application. When I get the packet from application, I mark it packet with sequence number 1, add the checksum and send it. And after sending it, what is that the sender would do? It should move to a new state where it waits for ACK of 1. Now waits for ACK of 1. Now look what happens. When this fellow sender sends the packet and this packet is corrupted. Sender sent the packet number 1 and this packet is corrupted. Now what the receiver would do? Receiver would receive corrupted packet. But what receiver has received so far? It has received the packet number 0 successfully, but it has receiving the packet number 1 corrupted. So receiver would indicate ACK of 0. It's saying that I did not receive, next packet is corrupted, whatever. I'm sending ACK of 0, and when sender receives ACK of 0, either get the corrupted ACK, we don't know, or gets ACK of 0. This basically implies that the packet which was sent, packet with sequence number 1, was corrupted, and so sender would retransmit the packet and wait for the ACK of 1 again. I already made the packet, it is in my buffer, I just retransmit it and wait here. Or I can get the uncorrupted ACK corresponding to 1. When I get the uncorrupted ACK corresponding to 1, that means receiver received the packet correctly and it sent me the ACK, and then I should wait for the application to give me packet with sequence number 0. And this is what the cycle is. And so on, so forth. Now assuming I send packet with sequence number 0 and this packet is corrupted. When this packet is corrupted, what is the last packet receiver received? Receiver received the last packet successfully with packet sequence number 1. But this packet is corrupted, so receiver would give me the ACK of 1. Even though I am sending packet with sequence number 0, but because this packet is corrupted, last packet receiver would have received is packet with sequence number 1. So receiver always indicates in ACK which was the last successful packet it has received. And that is what the ACK means. And so it will say ACK of 1, saying last successful packet is ACK of 1. And when I'm waiting for ACK for 0, but sender gets ACK of 1, this implies to the sender saying that the receiver did not receive the packet correctly. And so I retransmit. And this is the cycle for 2.2 where we replace the NAC for ACK. How does FSM of receiver looks like? I wait for packet with 0. I get the packet from 0, which is not corrupt. I just sequence number 0, that will receive the packet correctly. I extract the packet, deliver to the application, send the ACK of 0. I make the packet, send the ACK of 0, and wait for packet with sequence number 1. Now, in this case, when I'm waiting for ACK with sequence number 1, rather than receiving packet number 1, I may receive packet 0. Why? Because when I send the ACK, this ACK is corrupted. If this ACK is corrupted, what would sender do? It will retransmit me packet number 0. So receiver could send me packet with sequence number 0 because my ACK was corrupted. And because ACK is corrupted, I may still receive packet with sequence number 0 even though I'm expecting 1. So what is the receiver I would do? I already delivered this packet before, so I will discard the packet, simply sends ACK of 0. Already made ACK of 0, send the packet and wait for ACK of sequence number 1. Now if I get an uncorrupted packet with packet sequence number 1, then I know I get a new packet, extract the packet, deliver to the application and send ACK of 1 and go to state 0 where I wait the next new packet. And this is how the receiver FSM would work. So sender FSM is still a 4-state, receiver FSM has 2 states. So far, if you look at RDT 1.0, we said my underlying channel is completely reliable. When I look at the one error in RDT 2.x, we said my channel could corrupt the packet, but it does not lose the packet. Now, what could happen in realistic life? Channel could lose the packet as well. If a channel loses the packet as well, let's say sender sends the packet and packet is lost. Now receiver hasn't received any packet, so receiver neither would send the ACK or nor it will send the ACK. So what should sender do to determine that packet has been lost? Yes, Pant?
Sir,
What should sender do to determine that packet has been lost?
don't know, sir.
Mridula? I mean, think about it. You are waiting for something, you don't get any information, what do? You take a reaction, you wait for certain time, whatever time it is. And during the timeout, nothing happens. You resend the packet. Whatever real life. You are waiting for something, send the ACK, nothing happens. Within 1 hour, you go again, what happened? You check. You always keep a timeout. When channel could lose the packet, the only way to do is implement some kind of a timer. Only timer would help you to determine, because if you don't get the ACK, you know packet has been lost. So if you don't receive a ACK in time, we put in a timer and restart the packet. Now there's a possibility that my timer was too fast. I put a low value of timer My timer timed out earlier than I actually got the packet or got the act. So it must so happen that timer times out early and act comes late. And that means protocol has to take care of those scenarios as well, where timer times out early and act comes late. So what should happen? Remember, we said our goals were, our transport layer channel goals were, we would deliver reliably. Reliably meaning, what's the meaning of reliable delivery? Can somebody repeat? Vishnupriya, D. Vishnupriya. What does reliable delivery mean? Vijeta. You guys have to speak. What does reliable delivery mean? Vijayashree. Are you there? Vinod is busy with other calls, so expectedly not there in the class. Veera Srinidhi. I've been repeating at least 5 times. I repeated last lecture. Before that, I also said what reliable delivery means. Srinidhi, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So can you answer?
I don't know, sir.
I've been, that's the first thing we said, what does reliable delivery mean?
Hello?
Yeah. Can other guys keep in the mic mute? Madhuranath, what
Yes,
does
sir.
reliable delivery mean?
Delivery is done without any error and
So no corruption, that is one part. What else? There are 2 other requirements.
within a given period.
No, timing was never, transport layer can never give you timing guarantees. So uncorrupted delivery is one part. What others? Vasak,
Yes, sir. Sir,
what does reliable delivery mean?
complete data delivery.
What does that mean? Delivering a packet, what is the meaning of complete data delivery?
Uh, it sends the full data to the receiver.
Yeah, exactly. Full data. I sent 3 letters. It gives you all 3 letters, but in different order. Would you call it reliable delivery?
No, sir.
Yeah, but it gave me full data. So what does reliable delivery mean?
It should also be in order, sir.
Yeah, so it should be uncorrupted. It should be in order. Let's say I send 3 packets, 1, 2, and 3. It delivers me 1 incomplete. It delivers 3 incomplete. Doesn't deliver 2. Packet is in order. Packet is uncorrupted. Would you call it reliable delivery?
No, sir.
So what does reliable delivery mean? Can you repeat?
Sir, no data loss and
No data loss.
and the data should be in order, sir.
Data should be in order and no corruption. Anything else?
Sent by the receiver. I
And
send
the
it.
one more thing. Hemant,
Yes, sir.
what should reliable delivery include? Let's say I send 3 packets, 1, 2, and 3. But network somehow delivers 1, 2, 2, and 3. Would you call it reliable delivery?
No, sir.
So what is wrong with this? What happened?
Sir, it should be in order.
Is your order? No? I know the packet number 1, packet number 2, packet number 2 again, or packet number 3. So it is in order. I have not violated the order. And there is no corruption.
Yes, sir.
So what is wrong with this delivery?
It's not duplicate.
No duplicate. So
Again, do it.
yeah,
Yes,
so define reliable delivery as packet should be delivered uncorrupted. Packet delivery should be in order. There should be no packet loss, and there should be no duplication. And that is what reliable delivery means. And that is what we are looking at. So our goal was that we should never deliver duplicate. It should be in order. And if packet is lost, we make sure that packet is delivered. Otherwise, if we deliver next packet, then we are losing the packet. So if timeout occurs, we somehow have to make sure that if we distransmit the packet, application gets only one copy. Application does not get multiple copies. Transporter within itself may get multiple copies, but it gives to application, it has to deliver uncorrupted, without loss, in order, and only one copy, no duplicate. And that is what we look at. And that basically means from 2.0 to 3.0, which is the realistic channel, because real life can corrupt the packet, they can lose the packet, they can deliver them out of order or anything. If that happens, what should my transport layer implementation would be? And that becomes the basis of our TCP protocol. To understand, we introduce the errors, and because of this error, how does complication has become from simplistic case to complicated cases. And TCP would further be complicated. So unless you understand this, you will be not able to appreciate why TCP works. We still have some more things to do. So let us look at what does sender do. Every time it sends a packet, it starts a timer. Whether first time or any time it retransmits, every time it sends a packet, it starts a timer. Every time a timer expires, I'll retransmit. Every time I receive an act, I need to stop the timer. Because if I receive the act, don't stop the timer, I'll get the timer again. And then I retransmitting, which I don't need to. Implementing timer is a very, very complicated affair. It's not that easy. And especially if you are implementing multiple timers, life becomes a lot more complicated. So we'll look at those. Let's look at how do, and because now we are sending packets 1 and 0, 1 and 0 alternately, such protocols are also called alternating bit protocol, because we keep changing packet number 1, packet number 0, packet number 1, and so on and so forth. So let us look at how does my finite state machine for RDT 3.0 occurs, where we said my underlying network not only can corrupt the packet, but it can also lose the packet. So how does my FSM become? I start with an state 0, where I expect the data from the application. Application gives me data, invokes RDT send. I make a packet with sequence number 0. I put a checksum, send the packet out, and start my timer, whatever the timer is. I start a timer and wait for the ACK of packet 0. I wait for the ACK of packet 0. Now I could have multiple cases here. One case is I receive a packet, but it is corrupted packet. Or I receive the ACK, which is not corrupted, but what happened is when I send the packet, this packet was corrupted. If this packet was corrupted, receiver has to indicate me that packet is corrupted. And receiver is sending only ACK, indicating what was received. So starting with a hypothetical case, it will say 1 was received earlier if it has not received anything, because in continuous flow, 1 would happen. So it can give me the ACK of 1, indicating I have not received the packet number 0. So I can retransmit a packet and restart a timer. Or for optimal sake, I do nothing. If corrupted packet or ACK, I simply ignore it and wait for timeout to occur. If timeout occurs, all I need to do is resend the packet and start the timer again and wait for the ACK. I could have done the same thing here. I could have restarted the timer, send the packet, and that I've done. So I can either do that, stop the timer, send the packet, restart the timer, or I simply do nothing and wait for timer to be over. And that's what we are looking at. So when timeout occurs, I retransmit and I'm done. Or I receive a packet which is not corrupted, which is packet with sequence, ACK with sequence number 0. That means receiver indicates it got the packet number 0. Then what should sender do? Go to wait for packet with sequence number 1. Of course, I need to stop the timer because the timer records are retransmitting. So if I get the ACK, proper ACK, I stop the timer, wait for the ACK. And other part would be just same way of the reverse. You basically receive, ignore, the timeout occurs, or you get the application data. I get the application data from application, make packet with sequence number 1, send it, and start my timer. And that's all I would do. Why would I receive a packet here? RDT receive. Look, my timeout occurred and I send the packet. Because timeout occurred, send the packet, receiver would have given me the ACK which I'm receiving now. That may happen. So in that sense, because this could happen, we can receive the packet, and this part is a mirror image of this part. You get a corrupted packet or ACK of 0 indicating packet number 1 was corrupted. You let it expire, wait for timer to occur, and wait for timer to occur, and then timer occurs. You basically send the packet, start a timer again. Or if you get a ACK of 1, stop the timer and wait for application to give you data. And that's how this scenario would occur. It's better to understand these actions using what is called timeline sequence diagram. Timeline sequence diagram means we draw the time goes from top to bottom, this time is progressing, and we indicate transmission by a tilted arrow. That basically means because packet takes some transmission time. When I send it, it does not reach in 0 seconds. It takes certain time because of propagation delay, link delay, my transmission rate. So always say, so time is increasing from top to bottom like this. And this is called timeline sequence diagram. So we look at different cases. And first case is assuming that even though my channel could lose a packet or corrupt a packet, nothing of that kind happens. There is no loss, nothing happens, no corruption happens. So how does communication will look like? And this is important because this I'm going to ask you in one of your next questions. I send packet 0, this will receive the packet 0, send me ACK of 0, I get the ACK of 0, then I send packet 1, I'll get the ACK of 1, then next time I'll get packet 0, ACK of 0, and keep on doing it. This is a successful case where neither the corruption occurred nor packet loss occurred and life is great. This is ideal life, does not happen. Now look at a case where packet loss occurred. Looking over mostly packet loss occurred. I sent packet 0, I got the ACK of 0, I sent packet 1, and this packet is lost by the network. Now what event would occur at this point in time when this packet loss has occurred? Will I get the ACK from a receiver? Anyone? Sujay?
No, sir, we will not receive that.
What would happen? How would sender know that this packet is lost?
Sir, acknowledgement will not go to that again.
No, but how does sender know? Basically, my timer would expire. A timer would expire. Can you guys put on the mute? timer would expire and send the packet 1 again. I'll get the ACK, packet 0 and so on and so forth. So this is timeline sequence diagram with no loss. This is timeline sequence diagram for with packet loss. Now let us look at my ACK is lost. Packet is not lost, but ACK is lost. If ACK is lost, what happens? I send packet 0, get ACK of 0, send packet 1. Receiver send me the ACK, but ACK is lost. When ACK is lost, how would sender know what has happened? What is the event would occur?
Sir, again timeout.
Again timeout, because sender doesn't know whether packet is lost or ACK is lost.
Yes, sir.
Timeout would occur, and I'm going to retransmit the packet. When I retransmit the packet, receiver would have received the packet twice. But because you have sequence number, receiver knows a duplicate packet, it will not deliver to the application, but simply sends me the ACK and continue. Now let us look at complicated cases where timeout occurs prematurely, or you can say ACK is delayed. I send packet 0, I get the ACK of packet 0, I send the packet 1, ACK took a little more time to come to me, but timeout occurred. Now timeout occurred, what happens? I will send the packet 1, but I'm getting the ACK of 1. When I send the packet 1, what the receiver would do? It's a duplicate packet, it will send the ACK of 1. But here, when I get the ACK of 1, I'm going to retransmit this packet. I got the ACK of 1, I send the packet 0. But when I get ACK of 1, I again transmit packet 0 because ACK 1 indicates packet 1 not received. So if premature timeout occurs, we are almost sending each packet twice. Do we send packet 1? Timeout occurred, we send packet 1. When I got the ACK 1, I send packet 0. But when I got the packet 1, receiver discard become duplicate but send me the ACK of 1. I'm send already packet 0 here. I got the ACK of 1 means sender thinks packet with 0 has not been received. It will retransmit packet 0. So you see packet 1 getting retransmitted, packet 0 getting retransmitted till the delay occurs. So if you keep a premature or too small a timeout, you have unnecessary transmissions. And it's always a challenge in TCP how to keep a timeout value. You keep too low, you basically do a lot of retransmissions. You keep too high, your efficiency goes down. Because if losses occurred, you don't know, and you're sending in retransmission much later, and efficiency goes down. So you need to work out timeline sequence diagram even for protocol 2.2, 2.1, and so on, so forth. And that is what you need to do. So look at those stuff. Look at the performance. The protocol is perfect. It works perfectly fine. No issues, no design flaw, except that my performance is pathetically bad. Consider a case, I have 1 kilobyte packet. 1 kilobyte packet means it is 8,000 bits. Assuming my link is 1 gigabit, transmitting 8,000 bits on 1 gigabit link takes me 8 microseconds. So my packet transmission time is 8 microseconds, but propagation time on the channel is longer. Let's say it takes 15 seconds. So it will take 15 seconds to go, 15 seconds to come. So during those 30 seconds, I'm not sending any packet. So that means I'm sending one packet every 30 milliseconds. And that means in 1 second, total I'm sending is 33 kilo. One packet every 30 seconds. So 1 second I send 33 packets. Each packet is 1 kilobyte. So in 1 second I'm sending 33 kilobyte, whereas my link capacity is 1 gigabit. And that means I'm only sending 33 kilobytes, whereas I could have sent 1 gigabyte, a very, very inefficient utilization. You want to look at what is my channel efficiency, you can look at this way. At time t0, I start sending a packet, and this is my transmission time. So this gap is 15 millisecond and this gap is 8 microsecond. At this point in time, it will give me the ACK. And so assuming ACK is very small, no size, so this is 8 microsecond and this is 30 millisecond. So during the 30 millisecond, I am not receiving anything. So my L by R, packet size L, transmission rate R, my transmit time is L by R. So what is my efficiency? This L by R plus my round trip time. This is 8 microsecond plus this 30 millisecond, 15 second for propagation delay this, and 15 second for reverse. So my efficiency becomes, if you look at 0.008, because out of this 30.008, I'm using the channel only for 0.008 seconds. So 0.008 by 30.008, it basically 0.02%, a very, very inefficient utilization. So if you use stop and wait protocol, we waste a lot of time in waiting and not using it. And the only way solution is pipelining. Rather than waiting, can I send multiple packets for efficiency reasons? Correctness wise, 3.0 is perfect. But efficiency wise, it is pathetic. And that means I should be able to send multiple packets. If I send multiple packets, I need to increase my sequence number. It just cannot be 0 and 1. And we'll see when I increase sequence numbers, my complication increases. We started from RDT 0, simplistic case, to RDT 3, already seen complex. Now for efficiency reasons, we'll increase complexity, we'll increase the sequence numbers, and look at two protocols called the go back and repeat, selective repeat. We'll look at those, and then we look at how TCP is designed. So we are giving a basis of how TCP implements reliability. UDP is simple, TCP becomes complicated. To implement reliability, life becomes too complicated, and that is what we'll basically look at. For you to understand, I strongly recommend you work out the timeline sequence diagram for protocol 2.1. I've shown you for 3.0, work for 2.1, work for 2.2. Look at a new protocol, let's say 2.1b, where we say does not corrupt the packet, but lose the packet. How do your FSM will look like? We are not corrupting a packet, but we are losing the packet. Can you work out the state transition diagram? And these are the kind of questions you are going to get in the next internals. And the exercise could be, consider that every second packet could be corrupted, or every third packet could be corrupted. How does my timeline sequence diagram would work? When you work out those, then you understand it much better. I'm done for today. Any questions? Please let me know. And those, if no questions, you can drop out. And some of you have questions about your evaluation, so they can continue. I know Soja is the one. If anybody else, they can continue, others can drop out. Thank you.